YouTube, what's happening? It is Monday, June 17th. There are only 9 games to talk about in baseball today. But first, drop a like. Subscribe if you haven't, because yesterday absolutely crushed it. 11-5 on all games given out yesterday. Even hit the little money line parlay I do. I take all the favorites, put them in a parlay every day. And this one only had 4. It had Minnesota twice, San Fran, and Washington. And that hit, it was +6 something, I believe. Either way, plus 9.6 units on the day, 14.8 for the week, and over 50 still for the last 30 days. That little graph trend is just keep on climbing, looking like a little mountain right now. Beautiful. Either way, there's only 9 games to talk about today. So let's go ahead and jump into that first one. First game, San Diego and Philly. We got Vasquez with a 4.93 and Sanchez with a 3.07. Looking at the odds, you see Philly's pretty much favored across the board here, pretty decently too. 9.5 is your total no matter where you look. Data-wise, both on a losing streak of some sort. Their Nerfy's at 34.6%. That's almost Yerfy territory, but not with these offenses. You can see they are terrible. 2.7 runs and batting 179 for San Diego. Nah, pass on that. Philly's not much better. 3.3 runs and 216. So we have a slight advantage, Philly, in the offense, if you want to call it an advantage in this one, because they are both awful. 9.3 versus 11 on strikeouts. Looking at both pitchers, neither one's really a strikeout matchup, though. So I'm not going to take strikeout props in this one either, but we will look at the pitching. We see for San Diego, they're sending out Vasquez. He's a 4.93 at the 1.51. As you can see, 5.3, 5.2, 6. He's not a strikeout dude. That's why we're not taking it. He has not faced Philly recently, so we don't have to worry about that. He looks like he had a great game against Oakland, but Oakland's bottom 3 in the majors in batting average during when he played them last week, so we can't really take that into consideration. He should do this. This is what you're supposed to do when a team's batting this bad. So Arizona 3-3. These were decent teams when they played them too. So I expect them to give up at least 2 or 3 runs to Philly today, even though Philly's only 22nd in their runs in average area. So for Sanchez, we see him 2.37, 2.8. He's more of a strikeout dude, but not really. I can't trust somebody going against San Diego, who statistically is always doing great when it comes to striking out. I've been doing this for almost 2 months now, and they're always in the top 2 or 3. And now, for some reason, in the past week, they've fallen off. I can't trust a team that stays high to just drop off and stay there. I will never take strikeout props against San Diego. Can't do it. So back to the numbers here, we see that in his recent games against Boston, gave it 4, but Boston's been on fire. What are you going to do? Milwaukee 1-0, 1-2, 3 hasn't faced San Diego, so no numbers there. So overall, I give Sanchez the advantage in this game. So taking the odds in this one, we see that Philly is a pretty decent favorite. We see that they have a pitching advantage slightly, and they have the offense advantage slightly. I'm going to say Philly on the money line. It's probably just going to go to parlay. Let's be honest. I can't. If I find somewhere else that has numbers better than 178 at FanDuel, because they're the worst numbers here, the best numbers here, I mean, there's other places to get way better numbers. So we'll probably take that money line, and probably that's it. Yeah, I don't like anything else, so we'll just take that and move on to the next one. All right, next up we got St. Louis and Miami. We got Gray with a 3.02 and Garrett with a 6.1. Looking at the odds, we see that St. Louis is pretty favored everywhere you see. Total is 7.5 across the board. Data, Miami's on a 5-game losing streak, so that's something to notice. St. Louis, 2 runs a game in their last 3 for 28th. Miami, 0.7 runs a game in their last 3 for 30th. Miami has been struggling to score runs here recently. So, I mean, it's an advantage for St. Louis, but barely. So we have 2 teams that are terrible when it comes to scoring. St. Louis is batting 220 for 21st. Miami, 188 for 26. Can't score runs if you can't hit the ball, right? So strikeouts 7 versus 11.7. So we're going to look at Gray strikeouts for sure. Let's go ahead and pop on over to him. You see he's got a 301 with a 103 in his last few games. You can see strikeouts 9, 5, 10, 8. So yeah, we're taking a strikeout prop. I don't care what it is. We're going to take that because not only, according to the data, is Miami can't score, they can't hit, and they're swinging everything. So Sonny Gray strikeouts is 100% going to be on the list today. Back to his numbers, we see as a pitcher, he has not faced Miami either, so we don't have that advantage for hitters seeing the second time. Anytime recently, anyways. His last game was against Pitt, and Pitt's been playing pretty decently. Only 4 hits and 1 earned. Colorado got him for 3 and 4, so he had a couple little rough starts to June. Rough start for him, but he's kind of settled in, so we'll definitely look at that. Garrett, on the other hand, is at 6-1 with a 1.26. Last few games, the Mets got him for 4. Tampa Bay got him for 5. He did great against San Diego. He had a great end of May, a little rough start to May. So we'll see. He's 4 of his 6 games, he's given up at least 4 or 5 earned runs. So that's something to look at. Data-wise, it's a rough one. It's hard to back someone who's a team that's only getting 2 runs a game batting, but they are batting 220 going against a pitcher like this. Over-unders are out. I can't do it. 7.5 is a total for a reason because of how poor these offenses are. But Garrett's not that good of a pitcher. Gray should fan hopefully a whole bunch of people. We're going to take St. Louis on the money line for sure in this one. We'll try to find the best number out there. And we will also take Gray strikeout props and just move on to the next game. All right, next up we got the Reds and the Pirates. We got Spires with a 2.33 up against Paul Skeens with a 2.43. Looking at the odds, Pittsburgh is going to be heavily favored across the board because of Paul Skeens' pitching. Total is you have 8s and 8.5s out there depending on where you look. Looking at the data, we see Cincy 2-game losing streak. Pittsburgh's 1-1. 3.7 runs a game for Cincy for 21st. Pittsburgh 5.7. The bat's been pretty warm. For 9th, we have Vantage Pittsburgh. 2.32 average for Cincy for 18th. Pittsburgh 3.18 as a team for 4th. So the Pittsburgh is batting great. Big advantages for them. 7.7 versus 9. Strikeout props are in play for it's Paul Skeens. I don't care it could be San Diego with the number 1 spot. Skeens is one of those dudes I'll look at strikeout props because he's been crushing them. Because if you look at his numbers, you see 8, 8, 9. He had a 3, 11, 7. So yeah, I think he's hit a strikeout prop in 6 games, 5 out of 6 games. So yeah, we will always look at his props because he's in that list of strikeout dudes that when they pitch. I said yesterday with Glasnow, I didn't want to take it. I should have took it. But I didn't lose money, but I didn't make money on it. So, that's, going forward, anytime we see a strikeout dude, we look at their props. Just going forward. Don't care who they're pitching against. So this is one of those situations. We're taking Paul Skeens' strikeout props. We'll look at it. We'll probably take it. Stats-wise, 243 with a .96 whip. You can see he 5 hits against St. Louis with nothing last time. Hasn't faced Cincy at all. Great game against the Cubs. Great game against San Fran. Only 2 earned run against Detroit. Dodgers got him for 3. But other than that, great numbers. Let's look at this competition. Spires over here. 2.33 with a 1.9. 5.2 this month. 4 hits and nothing. Not bad numbers. Dodgers he only pitched 3 innings all June. 5.2 this time. But other than that, he's got good numbers. This is standing out. He's pretty good. But looking at the odds, we see 8.5 and 8's the total. Looking at the data, since he's struggling offensively, I got to go with Pittsburgh in this one. I'm taking Pittsburgh money line again. I'm going to have a nice money line parlay, it looks like, at the end of the day in this one. So Pittsburgh for sure. Paul Skeens strikeouts. We're not going to take a total because of how poor Cincinnati's offense is. And Pittsburgh's offense is hot. I just can't do it. So Pittsburgh money line. Skeens strikeouts, next game. All right, next up, Boston and Toronto. Boston played last night, and now they're playing again today. That's, rest might be a little bit of an issue to look at here. We have Pivetta with a 3.89 against 3.26 with Kikuchi. We see the odds. Toronto is a moneyline favorite at home with the number being 7.5, and there's a couple 8s out there. Data, we are seeing both on a 2-game winning streak. Boston 6 runs a game for 6. Toronto 4.3 for 17th, both in the last 3. 307 as a team for Boston. They have been batting great as a team the last 2 weeks, always in the top 6, it looks like. Toronto is slowly getting better. They're now 17th at 233. So a big advantage is Boston on both runs and batting average. 10 versus 7.3 strikeouts. We lean Toronto on strikeouts. Boston strikes out a good bit, so we will look at some Kikuchi strikeout props and see just how he does striking out wise. Well, you know what? Let's bounce over there now. Kikuchi starting up here, 3.26 to 1.23. On his strikeouts, he has not faced Boston recently, so 5.64, 0.69. We'll look at his number. If we can find something maybe like a 4 or 5.5, if it's 6.5, I'm passing. But if we can find something lower than that, yeah, we'll jump on it. Just because of how poor Boston is when it comes to striking out. His numbers are overall against Milwaukee, 5 with 3 and nothing, 1. Pittsburgh got him a little bit, got him for 5. Detroit got him for 5, but outside of that, he's been pretty good his last couple games. Now he's facing Boston, who, they played last night. They're getting the minimal rest you can get. So Looking at his competition, Pavetta, 388 with a 108 whip. His last few games has not faced Toronto recently. Got a little Philly, got him for 4. Did great against the Braves, though. Only gave it 1 hit over 7. Before that, 2-5 against Milwaukee. So he's up and down. He's going to have great games, or he's going to give a bunch of losing games. So he's a little bit of a roller coaster. So back to the data, we see that Boston has the advantage. I would say, based on they're both roller coasters. Let's be honest. Both pitchers are roller coasters. Both Boston has the advantage there offensively. Stats wise, Toronto is money line favorite. I can't really take that. I'm going to pass on that. Total wise, I think I'm going to pass on that as well. I don't like the whole Boston not getting much rest after playing late last night. So I'm going to pass on this entire game. Next game. All right, next up, Detroit and Atlanta. We got Olsen with a 3.68 against Free with a 3.20. Looking at the odds, we see the Braves are very heavy favorites in this one. 8.5 of the numbers out there for the data. We see they're both on a 1-game losing streak. Detroit, 4.7 runs a game for 15th. Atlanta, number 1 at 7.3 runs a game in the last 3. They are the highest scoring team over the last 3 games, even more so than Minnesota, which is surprising to me. Batting 250 for 14th, and Atlanta's batting 299 for 7th. 10.3 strikeouts versus 8.7. So Detroit is striking out a good bit, and we will look at Fried strikeouts, which we're going to do right now. Max Fried, 3.20 with a 106. He got 3 against Baltimore. Before that, 13 against Boston. 6, 9, 2, 5. The fact that he's shown he can get 13 a game, and he's gotten 9 before and 5. Yeah, we'll look at his number. We got to, because Boston, as you saw a couple games ago, they strike out a lot. So, and we see now Detroit, 10.3. That's 25th. That's not good. You're going against a dude who has been shown he can strike out dudes. So we will look at his strikeout prop. His games overall, Boston got him for 4 runs. Baltimore. Boston got him for 2. Great game against Washington. Great game against the Cubs, but the Cubs have not been great offensively. So we see what we're getting with him. Olsen, on the other hand, 3.68 with a 1.28 whip. Gives up a lot of hits. Oh, he's got 22 hits in his last 2 games. That's a lot of hits, especially when you're going against a team who is number 1 in runs and number 7 in batting. That's not good. So he has not faced Atlanta recently. He gave up 5, 8, 4. June just isn't his month. He wants to go back to May probably. So he is struggling hard. So looking at that, clear advantage Atlanta. Back to the odds, you can see, we'll go data first. Atlanta has the advantage of runs, batting average, strikeouts, pitching advantage. I see why it's 200. I'm going to take 200. It's going to go in the parlay unless I can find somewhere that has like a lower wrong number, like a 180, 170, whatever, because they're out there. Some of these books put out terrible numbers. You got to jump on them. This is why you should always have multiple places to bet. You shouldn't have just one. If you're doing just one, you're doing it wrong. So you should have multiple. Some people have like 30. I ain't got that many, but I got a lot. Let me tell you. So either way, I'm taking Atlanta. I'm going to take, let me look real quick. You know what? Yeah, I'm going to do it. Was that 1 run line is 102 plus? Yeah, we're going to take Atlanta run line on those 2. I think Free shuts Detroit down because they're struggling. And I think their offense rakes against Reese Olsen here. So yeah, we'll take Atlanta run line, money line, and Free strikeout props and move on to the next game. All right, next we got San Fran and Chicago. We got Hicks with a 301 up against Asad with a 281. Odds have the Cubs slightly favored at home, 9.5. A couple 10s out there across the board is your total. Looking at the data, we see 1-game winning streak for San Fran. Chicago lost her last. San Fran is tied with Braves at first at 7.3 runs a game in their last 3. Chicago is 2 runs a game for 28th. So we see a clear advantage San Fran when it comes to the offense. 321 batting average as a team for 3rd. Chicago 183 for 27th. 7.3 versus 6.7. We're not really looking at strikeout props for these guys. So we have San Fran with a clear advantage here. Let's see if the pitching matches up too. Hicks is going out there. 301 with a 120. He has not faced the Cubs recently, so no stats there. Strikeouts 5, 7, 4, 8, 1, 4. Let's see, not worth taking a strikeout against the Cubs, they're not batting great, but they're not striking out. So last 2 games, 3, 2, 4 against the Yankees, who have been on fire. Arizona, who has been pretty decent, and Houston, who's pretty decent. So nothing stands out here. Has to face a bad team and gave a bunch of runs. Assad, 281 with a 124. Has not faced San Fran recently. Did great against Atlanta back in May, a couple games. These are good numbers. St. Louis, 4 runs. Cincy, 2 runs. 5 against Cincy. Cincy is one of the hotter teams so recently, so that's something. I would say the pitching match is pretty equal. K props 4, 7, 7, 8, 4, 7. Some people might take his K prop today. I'm not going to do it because, as you can see, San Fran is only striking out 7 times a game. Not really something I'm up on money on. So, with both pitching matches being virtually equal in my mind, with the clear advantage going to San Fran offensively, and I can get San Fran plus money. Yeah, I'm going to take San Francisco plus money line here. Yeah, I can get even money just at Hard Rock. Yeah, all day. Yeah, I'm going to take San Fran plus or even money here and move on to the next game. Next up, we got the Mets and the Rangers. We got Peterson with a 4.32 up against Gray with a 2.17. Odds have the Rangers as a pretty slight decent favorite at home. 8.5 is the total across the board. Data, Mets on a 5-game winning streak, Texas on a 3-game losing streak. Mets offense is crushing Texas offense. 6 runs a game for 6 and 292 batting for 9th over the last 3. Texas only 2.3 and 167 batting, both in the bottom 3 in the majors in the last 3. 6.7 strikeouts versus 9. Mets have the advantage across the board here. Looking at the pitching matchups here, we have Peterson going out there for the Mets with a 4.32 with a 1.50 whip. Has not faced Texas, and well, he's only had 3 games this year. So, but his last 2 games, Dodgers only gave up 2 to Washington, gave up 4 to Miami. Miami was not a good offense when he faced him last. Miami's still not a good offense. You saw that. So, this is a little concerning for the Mets. So he's probably going to give up some runs here, even though Texas, as you can see, is struggling for 2.3 and 167. Those numbers are going to rise today. I think they're going to get a little bit of offense against this dude because you see he gives up runs. His counterpart, Gray, on the other hand, Gray's a 2.17, the 1.20 whip. Only did 3 innings. Decent numbers, 2.1 innings before that. He's just not pitching much. It's hard to really back. We're going to get more bullpen than starter with this guy. So, with that being said, it's basically going to be, okay, Texas bullpen versus a pitcher for the Mets who likes to give up runs. That tells me both teams are going to give up runs. When the odds are 8.5, we see the data in this one. I am going to, what's the best number we have here? Okay, yeah, 8.5. We'll take the over 8.5 in this one. Expect some runs from both sides. Do I take it? Yeah, I'm going to take the Mets money line as well, because we are getting some money line juice, because I don't know why Texas is favored, because look at these numbers. Would you put your hard-earned money on Texas with these numbers? I know I'm not going to. I'm going to back the data that says New York should win this game, regardless of who's pitching, because they can score many runs. So we're going to do that. New York money line, over 8.5, next game. All right, next up, Dodgers and Rockies. We got Paxton with a 3.92 against Quantrill with a 3.30. Odds, we have the Dodgers as pretty decent favorites on the road. Totals are wild. 11.5, mainly 12 out there for the totals. They expect a high-scoring game. Data-wise, Dodgers are struggling still. They're only getting 3 runs a game for 24th. They're batting 211 for 24th. Colorado was 6.7 runs a game while batting 318 as a team, both 4th. So we have clear advantages Colorado offensively, and they're at home. 6.3 versus 8 on strikeouts. We're not looking at strikeouts for either one of these. Looking at pitching, let's see if anything backs this up. Paxton's going out first with a 3.92 with a 1.41. You can see he has not faced Colorado recently. Last few games, 6 innings of 2-hit, 1 earned ball against Texas, but we saw Texas is not doing well offensively. So you got to throw that one out. That really doesn't matter because that's how poorly Texas is batting. Pittsburgh, on the other hand, 1.2, get up 6 runs. That's more indicative of what we want to see in this one. So that makes sense while the total is 11.5, 12. Against the Mets, 3 innings with 0. So this one, I expect him to give up a couple runs, a few runs even. So we have that. Quantrill, on the other hand, 3.30 with a 1.25. You can see his 3 hits, nothing. 3 hits, nothing. 9 hits, 4 against the Dodgers. So he has faced the Dodgers before. And we do have that theory out there that when the batters and pitchers face each other, the next time the batters have an advantage. So he gave up 9 hits now. He should do about the same, I would think. So this is why the total's so high. It makes complete sense now. So we expect him. He had a great game outside. Look at his games. His games are good outside of the LA game. So you got 2 theories here. His one theory is this was a one-off game. It happens. He's a great pitcher. Even though he's wearing a Colorado Rocky jersey, he's a great pitcher. And he just had a one-off game against the Dodgers. That's it. Or he these teams were garbage and he got teed off on against a good team. Those are your options. That's what you have here. So with the odds being where they are, Dodgers are a pretty hefty money line. That's a very high total. We have the odds. The data is clearly leaning Colorado's favor in this one, which is wild. This one is, what do we want to do in this one? I think, yeah. I think I'm going to do it. I think I'm going to take Colorado money line at home because of the numbers. I'm going to lean Quantrill is better than we think. I think he has a one-off game because this was against Minnesota, who is the hot. They're batting 4 something as a team in the last 3. He did 6 with 3 hits against Minnesota. That impresses me more than anything I've seen today. So yeah, I'm taking Colorado money line. I'm not even going to take the total. I can't do it. So Colorado money line. That's it. Move on to the next one. Last game, Milwaukee and LA. We got Rodriguez with 4.91, Given with 3 innings. Soriano with 3.48. Odds, we have Milwaukee. They're a favorite a couple places. A lot of places are a pick 'em. Take your pick. 8.5 across the board in the totals. Data wise, 2-game winning streak for Milwaukee. Nothing stands out nerfy wise. 4.3 versus 6.0 for the runs. Advantage LA. 208 versus 255 batting average. Advantage LA. 8.7 and 6.3. Advantage LA. Looking at the pitching, we'll start with Soriano because he's actually established. 3.48 with a 1.18. We see he's played many games. He has not faced LA recently. So we have 8 innings. He had a great game against Arizona. And Arizona was hot when he last played. I mean, he shut them down. That was great to watch. San Diego, 6 innings, only gave up 6 with 1 earned. Seattle got him a little bit, and Cleveland got him a little bit. This is when Cleveland was number 1 in the majors in batting average. This is when Cleveland was hot at the end of last month. So that's actually not that bad. So Soriano's not a bad pitcher. Put it that way. He's pretty decent. Rodriguez, we know nothing because he's only pitched 3 innings. He gave 7 hits and 2 runs to Toronto, and that was in his last start. That doesn't tell us much. So we don't know if that's going to be good or bad for him. Soriano, we know is going to be a decent pitcher. The odds, let's go to the stats. Everything leans LA. The odds are saying that Milwaukee should be slightly favored, which I don't see how, because I think Soriano's better than Rodriguez, so that's an advantage pitching. We have advantage in runs. We have advantage in batting. We have advantage in strikeouts. So why is Milwaukee favored? I don't know. So we are going to 100% be taking LA on the money line. We're going to pass on the total, and I think that's it. That's it for this one. 9 games broken down, plays given, discussed. Not any nerfies today because if you saw the statistics, there was no nerfy to talk about. Plenty of plays out there for being such a short slate. Been on fire this past week. Drop a like, drop a comment. Let me know what you're winning on, and subscribe if you haven't, and we'll see you tomorrow. Peace.